Hello, this is Brian Scuttle with Sonic Cinema, and I'm going through screener season. I've trying to catch up on some of the movies I've missed over the past year and the ones I'm most interested in watching before I vote for the Georgia Film Critics Association in January. And one of the ones I wanted to see from IFC is The Meaning of Hitler. It's a documentary. It's sort of inspired by the 1978 book, which was written at a time when neo-Nazism was on the rise. But it's also kind of a free-form exploration of Hitler, the things that made his ideology, that sort of crystallized his ideology, as well as looking at how his ideology endures now. And it's really a thought-provoking one. We hear from people who've studied him academically. We hear from people whose lives were directly impacted by the Holocaust. We hear from Holocaust deniers, and it's a fascinating documentary, and it's one that I'm glad that I saw. And one of the things that is really fascinating about it is it looks at how pop culture in some of our depictions of Hitler, whether it's something like Inglourious Bastards, whether it's something like Downfall, whether it's different movies about the Nazis in general, how we've maybe normalized the idea of giving Hitler sort of a sense of a noble demise in movies that have shown him to die and to take his life, and that may not necessarily be the best thing, because it almost helps lionize him and almost helps give him a certain nobility they didn't deserve. And that was one of the more interesting aspects of it, because of the fact that are filmmakers who do that playing into the propaganda that we saw from Leni Riefenstahl's something like Triumph of the Will. This film ends quite powerfully with a scene in at a death camp, at the site of a death camp in that was basically destroyed, and they planted trees over it so that nobody would ever be able to prove that Jews died there. And it's a really haunting sequence, and it's fortunate that we were able to that Germany lost the war, because if they had won the war, there's a possibility that that type of site, that in the and the horrors of the Holocaust will have been forgotten. And that's something that I think that is something needs to be remembered always. And it's one of the some of the things at the end of this movie where we talk about it talks about online radicalization. It talks about the way people are finding new ways to approach Nazism and Hitler and the ideology of Nazism. And it's sad to see. And one of it really sort of hit home, and we see like a live streamer who was at the Unite the Right march on Charlottesville. And she's talking about being there. She's talking about the experience and how, oh, it wasn't that bad to be there. They weren't really a mob, trying to rationalize being a part of that experience. And how that type of content, that type of sensationalized content is what people gravitate towards. And makes me feel like it's depressing that that's what we kind of gravitate towards to a certain extent when it comes to online content. It's a bit demoralizing as a content creator myself, but at the same time, it also solidifies that the way I make my content is the way I want to make my content, and I'd rather not give in to that sensational aspect of it and extreme sense of it, because of the fact that it could lead me down a road that I wouldn't necessarily want to. And I think that's one of the things that a documentary like The Meaning of Hitler helps to do, is really strengthen my resolve of, there are certain ways of going down, or certain directions in life that you don't want to go down, because of the fact that it's like it could lead you to a place where you're suddenly thinking like like one of the worst human beings who's ever lived. But I'd much rather be one of those people who lives with sympathy for other people and empathy for others, and that's how I'm going to continue to go about my business. So those are my thoughts on the Meaning of Hitler. If you have access to the IFC Films app and screeners, please be sure to check it out. It's really well worth watching. And this is Brian Scuttle, and thank you very much for following me at www.sonic-cinema.com and wherever my content is. Thank you.